The smallest man with the biggest dreams. Imagine living in a world where almost everything around you is designed for someone much taller than you. Cars are too large. Doors are too high. Tattoos are difficult to reach. And even simple everyday tasks can become extraordinary challenges. For most people, these things are invisible. We walk through life without thinking about them. But for Afshin, the world looks completely different. At just a tiny fraction of the height of an average adult, Afshin has spent his entire life navigating a world that was never built for someone like him, yet despite the challenges, he continues to live with something that cannot be measured by ruler, confidence, curiosity, and an incredible desire to experience life. This is the story of a man whose body may be small, but whose personality, dreams and impact are far bigger than anyone might expect. A world built for giants for most people. Getting into a car is effortless. You open the door, sit down, and drive away. For Afshin, the same journey requires an entirely different approach. The steering wheel is enormous compared to him, the pedals are far away. The seat is designed for someone many times his size. Even reaching the controls can become a challenge. But Afshin has learned something important throughout his life. If the world is not designed for you, you find your own way to move through it. With determination, creativity, and a lot of practice, he has adapted his surroundings to fit his needs. He may need help with certain tasks, but that does not mean he has given up his independence. In fact, one of the most remarkable things about Afshin is his attitude. He does not seem interested in being defined only by his size. He wants to experience the same things that everyone else does. He wants to travel. He wants to meet people. He wants to laugh with friends. He wants to enjoy good food. And most importantly, he wants to live life in his hometown. Afshin lives in Buchan, in the Kurdish region of Iran. From the moment visitors arrive, one thing quickly becomes clear. This is a community where people know each other. Families gather together, neighbors stop to talk, and hospitality is not simply a polite gesture. It is a way of life. As Afshin moves through his hometown, people recognize him. Some are curious, some smile, some stop to say hello. But behind the curiosity is something much more important. Connection. Afshin is not simply a record-breaking individual or a fascinating story for strangers to observe. He is a son, a friend, a member of his community. And to the people around him, he is simply Afshin. That may be one of the most powerful parts of his story, because sometimes, the world sees a person for their difference. But family and friends see the person behind it. A journey through Iran. Traveling through Iran reveals a completely different side of Afshin's world. For more than a decade, visitors have traveled across the country, meeting people and discovering places that many outsiders know very little about. In the Kurdish region, the welcome is unforgettable. A simple visit can quickly turn into an invitation for tea, a conversation can become a meal, and a stranger can suddenly feel like a member of the family. People offer food, they bring drinks, they invite guests into their homes. There is a warmth that cannot be easily explained. It is something you experience. And Afshin's family is no different. When visitors arrive at his home, the atmosphere quickly becomes full of energy. There is laughter, there are conversations. And somewhere in the background, a meal is being prepared. But no one realizes just how large that meal is about to become. A dinner that becomes a celebration at first. It appears to be a normal family dinner. One dish is placed on the table, then another, and then another. Just when everyone thinks the meal is finished, more food arrives. The table continues to fill. What begins as a small dinner suddenly becomes a celebration. Neighbors begin gathering. People invite others to come and eat. Before long, the entire atmosphere changes. This is no longer just a meal for one family. It becomes a moment shared by an entire community. There is food, laughter, conversation, and a feeling that everyone is welcome. And in the middle of it all is Afshin. The man who has spent his life living in a world that often makes him feel different, is surrounded by people who are simply happy to have him there. The food is traditional. The conversation is sometimes difficult because of language differences. But kindness does not always require translation. A smile can communicate. A handshake can communicate. And sometimes a simple hug can say more than an entire conversation. Big dreams in a small world. One of the most interesting things about Afshin is the size of his dreams. When people see someone with extraordinary physical challenges, they sometimes make the mistake of assuming that the person's dreams must also be limited. But Afshin proves the opposite. He wants to see the world. He dreams of visiting different countries. He is curious about places far beyond his hometown. He talks about destinations across the Middle East and beyond. He wants to see cities. He wants to experience different cultures. He wants to taste different foods. He wants to meet new people. And perhaps most importantly, he wants to be treated like any other traveler. Not as a spectacle, not as a curiosity, but as a human being with dreams. The power of family. Behind every extraordinary story is often a group of people who make the journey possible. For Afshin, family plays a huge role in his life. His family understands his challenges. They help him when he needs assistance. They support him. But they also allow him to be himself. And that is important. Support does not always mean doing everything for someone. Sometimes, real support means giving a person the confidence to do what they can for themselves. Afshin's family knows that his body may create limitations. But they also know that his personality cannot be limited by his size. During the meal, the atmosphere becomes incredibly warm. People laugh together. They share food, they talk about life. And for a short time, the differences between everyone disappear. There is no record. There is no measurement. There is no comparison. There are simply people sitting together and enjoying a moment. The world sees a record when someone becomes famous for an extraordinary physical characteristic. The world often focuses on one number: fab, warp speed, strength. A record is easy to understand, it can be measured, it can be written down, it can be compared. But a person is much more than a number. Afshin's size may be the first thing people notice. But it is not the most important thing about him. His humor matters, his kindness matters, his family matters, his dreams matter, his experiences matter. And the way he makes other people feel. That may be the most important record of all. Because records can be broken, numbers can change. But the impact a person leaves on others can last forever. A different kind of greatness. After spending time with Afshin and his family, something becomes clear. The journey was supposed to be about discovering what life is like for one of the world's smallest men. But the experience becomes something much bigger. Afshin teaches a lesson that many people spend their entire lives trying to understand. Happiness does not come from being the biggest. It does not come from having the perfect body. It does not come from living without challenges. Happiness often comes from the people around us. From family, from friendship, from laughter, from a shared meal, from being welcomed into someone's home, and from feeling that, despite all our differences, we belong somewhere. The biggest lesson in a world obsessed with appearance, size, wealth and status, Afshin's story offers a different perspective. We often believe that bigger means better. The bigger house, the bigger car, the bigger bank account, the bigger achievement. But Afshin's life reminds us that greatness has nothing to do with physical size. A person can be small in stature, and still have a huge heart. A person can face enormous obstacles, and still choose to smile. A person can live in a world that was not designed for them and still find a way to move forward. And sometimes, the people who seem the most different from us are the ones who teach us the most about being human. The final moment as the journey comes to an end, the goodbye is simple. There are smiles. There are hugs. There are moments of gratitude. But the experience leaves behind something much more powerful than a simple memory. It reveals that people from completely different backgrounds can connect. They may speak different languages. They may live in different countries. They may have completely different experiences. But at the most basic level, they want the same things: to be respected, to be understood, to be accepted, to be loved, and to feel that their life has meaning. Afshin's story is not simply about being one of the smallest men in the world. It is about refusing to let your circumstances define the size of your dreams. It is about finding joy in the moments that others might overlook. It is about the power of family and community. And it is about understanding that greatness cannot always be measured with a tape measure. Because sometimes, the smallest person in the room can leave the biggest impression. And sometimes, the greatest journeys are not about how far you travel. They are about what you learn from the people you meet along the way. Afshin may live in a tiny world surrounded by enormous challenges. But his dreams are limitless. And his story proves one unforgettable truth. Asterisk, a person's size may be measured in centimeters, but their greatness is measured by the impact they leave behind. This is the story of Afshin, a man who may be small in height, but whose story is truly enormous.